I think my boyfriend is trying to push our relationship off onto his friend. As the title suggests, I believe that my 24F boyfriend, 26 meters, is trying to actively move me to date his best friend. I've been dating my boyfriend, we'll call him Michael, for about a year now. We've known each other for years previous because we've always been in the same friends group since high school. His best friend, we'll call him John, has also been someone I've known for a long time because he's also in the group. John had asked me out years ago, but I turned him down because he's always been somewhat of a cocky guy who could never see he was ever wrong. Many people find him charming, but I think smarmy is a better word. He seemed offended but brushed it off, and even told people that I had asked him out, and he rejected me, which was fine because it didn't affect my life at all. After a few months, all was forgotten and we just pretended the other one didn't exist, and that's how it's been for years. Until Michael asked me out randomly and I decided to give it a shot. It turned out we had a lot of similar hobbies and really had a good time, so we started dating shortly after that. Now about 6 months ago, Michael started to act strange, but in really subtle ways. I would talk about how much I loved animals and he would interject that John just loved animals. Which wouldn't be weird, but he did it with everything I talked about with even the slightest bit of enthusiasm. If I loved it, John loved it just as much. He told me how compatible me and John were and how he wished we meshed more. I eventually told Michael the first really didn't care what John liked because he was kind of pretentious and we never got along. He seemed really offended but quickly recovered, and by the next day everything was good again. About a week after that instance, Michael would talk up John randomly and with seemingly no reason. Hey, I talked to Brittany yesterday and man, John is apparently a god in bed, haha. Maybe I should ask the guy for tips? John is volunteering at that shelter we went to a couple weeks ago. What a guy. We should have John make us dinner, he's a great cook. It was every day to every other day I had to hear about John's greatness, and it was to the point I initially thought that Michael wanted to date John. Then 3 weeks ago, after we had some drinks, he asked me, if we ever broke up, would you date someone else in the group? I had no idea what to say because it was so random, but he quickly filled the void by saying, I think I would if I were you and John was single. Seriously? So 3 days ago I confronted him in the kitchen and told him that if he had anything he wanted to tell me, I would listen to it no matter what, and that I would always be there for him. He seemed confused and told me he had no idea what I meant by that. So I brought up all the times he talked about John and how he would date him, and told him that if he really wanted to date John, the first understood and would support them. After all, they're best friends, so they obviously have a good connection. When I say he blew up, I cannot stress how angry he got. He used a dozen slurs for gay people and said he was disgusted I saw him like that and that he would never do something like that. We ended up getting in a huge fight over it because I certainly don't support his language or attitude toward LGBTQ folks, and that it was just a vibe I got from him and I didn't mean to mislabel him. We haven't really talked, but he's staying at his parents' house right now, and today John called me to tell me he doesn't support Michael's attitude toward me and invited me over to talk about it, even saying that Michael was 100% okay with it. Am I crazy? Am I making up some convoluted story in my head, or is this bizarre?